And we're back. And we're still dropping frames. But we'll live. We're back live, right? I'm not crazy. We're not live. I must be live. You answered me. Can I be heard? Okay. But we can follow the board. So you don't care about my face. So we're just gonna make this work. This is our life now. Great. And so let's get back to the game after that undue distraction. So black played knight takes g3. I wasn't happy about this. hg3 and knight f6. It makes a lot of sense, improving its pieces. Now here white played, white played knight g5. I wasn't so thrilled about this move, and the reason was I felt like white's position had quite a few problems. Although it was hard for me to suggest a move to play for white here. It seems like white doesn't really have a great active plan. It's hard for white to attack. It's hard for white to control the center. So this knight is just very passive. These pieces aren't accomplishing much on its diagonal. So white's position, I think, is pretty bad here. The move I eventually came up with for white was rook h4. Just trying to accomplish something with these rooks. But I don't know. I just don't know how to sort out these pieces for white. I think white's position is already very difficult. Maybe white's going to have to consider taking this. But white never really wants to do that because that gives away the center. For instance, takes. I even have a cute one. I can do this. Hitting this pawn and here. And this is going to go pretty well for black, I think. So knight g5, I don't think it's the best move, but the position's difficult. I can hardly blame the white player. It's an idea, right, to rewrite this knight, maybe trade off some pieces. h6 played, knight g e4. And now, I very much didn't like the move that black played. So, black played knight d5. But remember earlier, I talked about the two plans that black could have, which was queenside expansion or central expansion. And here I think black has an opportunity to just totally decimate the center and just control the entire center and be much, much better. So black here can take. And you kind of have to go bishop takes, because if you go knight takes, I'm hitting you with d5, and that's going to be really unpleasant for you. Like this position, I don't even have to go e4. But I could go e4. And then just say I own the center and this is the worst piece the world has ever seen. And your queen is stupid too. So that's totally playable. And if you recapture with the bishop, then I go c6, and then I'll get you with the d5, e4 anyway. So yeah, I think here black is just doing really, really well in the center. And that's where we want to be playing chess, in the center. So knight d5 I don't like because it sort of gets in the way of this plan. I understand the move because white actually has a threat here, which black recognized. White is threatening to take and then take on h6. And so black does sidestep the threat, which is good. But I think just taking here gives black a solid advantage. He has the two bishops, he controls the center. But okay, knight d5, bishop c4, putting pressure on the knight. And now black makes a big mistake here. Black makes a natural-looking move, which is to play bishop e6, which is developing and supporting his piece. But bishop e6 runs into some problems because when I say bishop e6, some alarm bells go off for me about there's some like loose relationship here. This knight is attacked once, it's defended once. I'm not exactly sure I'm so thrilled about this. So after bishop e6, let me ask the crowd, what should white play here to try and take advantage of this? I've been really cutting out for most of the time. Can you at least see the board? Oh, it looks like my internet's back. My internet's magically working? Oh, now it's not working as well. Why are you doing this to me? So Ali found a cool, sexy little combination with rook takes h6, bishop takes h6, bishop takes d5, bishop takes d5, knight f6. Unfortunately, I think after you'll accept the rook but not the bishop and end up the exchange there. Yeah, so don't worry about the video. What should white do here? White has some. White can press a large advantage here. Trying to take advantage of this loose relationship. I'll have to call my ISP after this. So if you go bishop takes d5, you're going to regret that. And we'll see, because something very similar happened in the game. I'm not going to give that one away. Bishop takes d5 is very regrettable. There's a better way to abuse these pieces. And I advise you to look at your checks, captures, and threats, as we always look at those. There's no win here. We're just playing for a big advantage for white. It's not a forced win. I'll give us one more minute, then I'll give away the answer. Knight f6, giving away your pieces. So, queen b3 was played in the game. But it's not the best move. It's not a terrible move, but it's not the best move. The best move, you gotta look at your checks, captures, and threats, my friends. That's a capture. Did you look at it? If you looked at it, you'll see it's good. You'll see it's very good. Did you look at your capture? This is a great capture. Black has immediate problems. Bishop takes is unplayable. And pawn takes runs into knight c5. And this sort of black pawn formation is crumbling. Bad things are going to start happening here. Yeah, you didn't see a forced mate. This is really good for white. White's going to take this, and it's not going to be pleasant for you. I didn't look at it. I suck. We knew that already. So yeah, this is already quite rough for black. It's hard really to suggest a move. If you go, I don't know, c6, takes. Problem is, if you actually have to take with the pawn, because if you take with the queen, I got an e4 coming for you. So this is clearly terrible. Actually, this pawn became weak. Yeah, I mean, this is just disastrous for black. So this capture would have been very, very strong for black. Both recaptures suck, which means that black is going to be forced to make some major concessions. But okay, queen b3 played. And now knight b6 from black, which is probably not very good. Black can go c6 here. Black can, well, okay, so first off, black can go queen c6, which is fine. And here, just everything's holding together. You protected your b7 pawn. But more interesting is black can go c6 and give the b7 pawn, because I don't really think you can take that pawn. Takes, rook b8. This position, I would call it double-edged, although I would say it's more double-edged for white than for black. I would be very scared to have white in this position. You're up 2 pawns, but you just opened 2 highways to your king. Ali Qantas has pointed out, after c6, you can take the pawn on d6, but again, I'm not sure you want that pawn. Queen e7, you go back, and here I go like f5, and I have at least an initiative for the pawn, is what I would say. At least I have an initiative. I might not have more, but I have an initiative for the pawn. I also, instead of f5, I can start mauling you with tempos. a5, a4. I have a clear initiative as black. But okay, knight b6 played. And here, white played a really bad move. You'll take that pawn. I might not, because I'm getting attacked very heavily. So this is something I always talk about. If you're going to change the structure, you have to think about it, like a lot. Because changes in the pawn structure are one of the most important choices you can make in chess, and you can't take it back. If I go knight f3 to g5, and I decide it's a mistake, I'll bring my knight back to f3. If I play h4, and I decide that's a mistake, I'm not playing h4, h2. So when you make decisions about the pawn structure, they better be the right decision, and you have to think about them. So the move played in the game was d5. And this is, I think, a very poor choice. The reason it's such a poor choice is it makes white's pieces sad. Namely, it makes both these pieces sad. White has spent more time. He actually moved both these pieces onto this diagonal, and then he shut down this diagonal. So it means that white has really wasted quite a bit of time here. Much better is actually to just take here. And then we could trade into this ending. Take here. Black has to go d5 pretty much. You don't want to take this, really. Yeah, and you can't take with the bishop. So d5. And now white's not going to be able to hold on to the pawn, but white is maybe a little better here. I mean, white probably has to bring the knight into f6. It could go to c5, but say knight f6 takes. You can't let me take this pawn. f3, h5, and this position is something. White can put his knight on d4, bring the rook around. It's probably about equal. But after d5, it's not equal. And black just backs up, and now all of a sudden these pieces don't make any sense. And white recognized that. Played queen c2. But this move has a flaw. What would you play for black here? Black has a good move in this position. f5. And bizarrely, the knight has no squares. Beautiful knight on the middle of the board. Doesn't have a square. So instead of queen c2, you have to do something about this. I guess, like, what do you do, right? You can go f3, I guess. g4 maybe. I guess that just gives a pawn away, though. But white's position is so struggling so much because this knight is just trapped in the middle of the board. But okay, queen c2. f5 was not found. It wins the game on the spot. That's a whole piece. Instead, black played bishop a4, which I don't really like. Yeah, you could say that you're forcing weaknesses, but I don't know. I don't think the inclusion of the move b3 is so terrible for white. And here again, I didn't like the move black played. Black played the move bishop b5. S2004K, that's not true. The knight has the g3 square in that variation. That was sort of the point of g4. So I don't like this move bishop b5 because this is the worst piece on the board. And black is saying, I'm going to give away my really good light-squared bishop for this awful, like, festering bishop on c4. I don't like this decision whatsoever. That's why I didn't like this whole, like, sort of bishop vacation to a4. I think instead of going bishop a... Well, okay, he should win the piece, right? So, I don't know. I guess you force b3. Then I would go all the way back. I don't want to trade this piece. This bishop is terrible. I don't want to trade it off. And now white played queen d3 and said, I don't want to trade it off either. I mean, white should take. That bishop's awful. After queen d3 as black, I would move away. Don't trade. I guess you're scared of inviting the queen in. But here, white can go c4 and you're okay. This knight sort of glues the position together a little bit. Yeah, it's not great, but you're surviving. You're not lost. So, yeah, that would have been fine. But here, queen d3, and black's going to initiate trades, and this is going to be bad. Knight takes c4, knight takes c4, a5. Black's going to start crashing. He's going to try and make use of this weakness he created. And now white blunders, unfortunately. White thinks he's being clever. But when you look at this position, as you get more games under your belt, you sort of have a feeling of, like, which player should have tactics. Like here, black has nice bishops. White's structure is a little loose. Black has a pin on the c4 knight. I'm sort of sitting here being like, black should have the tactics in this position. So when I see white initiating tactics, that makes me very suspicious. And white does initiate tactics with rook takes h6, which is a blunder. But white has some solid thinking behind this. And white's thought process is, well, this is not takeable because that's a family fork. But what white failed to take into account here, this rook is what we call tactically defended. It's not takeable because of tactics. And the rook is tactically defended by the knight. the knight on e4 is tactically defending the rook on h6. So, black plays a standard removal of the guard tactic. And he removes the knight that is tactically defending the rook with the move f5. And this is a really nice move because now white is in a quandary. This knight is hanging. Hello, Teenan. How you doing, man? And the rook is hanging. And white can't save everything. So white decided to drop the knight for a pawn. Because let's get something for our material that we're losing. We're losing something. Takes. And rook h1. Now let's take stock. Black has a bishop for 2 pawns, but he has control of the bishop pair. White's king is loose. He has a nice structure here. So I'm going to say black is totally winning. Totally winning in this position. But, as we saw earlier, black does not win this game. In fact, he goes on to lose this game. So from this point forward, we have to see what went wrong. How did this go wrong for black? e4 is a good start, opening the bishop. Queen c2 shatters the structure. Now the king is very weak. Queen c8. I maybe am going to be picky and say I would have preferred rook c8. This queen has a great square on e5. But okay, fine. Queen c8. Queen a4, guarding this pawn. Now, here, black took the c3 pawn, which is maybe not so important. I myself would have been tempted to just go like queen c5, rook c8, take, everything. But bishop takes c3, not a bad move by any means. Rook h6. King f7 is fine. The king looks a little loose, but white has no tactics, right? You don't like e4. Let's go back to that moment, just so look. I like e4 opening the bishop. You prefer a4 when b4 loses to rook c8. You probably have your pick of wins, if I must say. However, I think if you want to go e4, you can go e4 and then a4. And it's a similar idea. Actually, I've hung this pawn. I mean, I think e4 is fine. This position is still just clearly monstrous for black. So king f7, check. Here white plays a poor move. Queen a3, he's eyeing up this pawn, but he's not paying attention to black really. Queen a3 is just a tactical mistake. And I know you're just playing for swindling chances here as white. I mean, I can't really suggest what I would play. There's not much to do. Maybe king b1. But, okay, queen a3 and black takes with check. King b1. And here, let me ask, what would you play as black? Yeah, queen b5 is great. Rook c8. I'm going to ask myself, can I live taking this? No, you're going to win the rook. Yeah, so queen b5 makes a lot of sense. Rook c8. I myself, being the kind of person that I am, excuse me, I myself would play queen b5. I think a lot of people would be tempted by this move, queen b4 check. Because you're up material and you're trading material, right? And that's something we always learn. You're up material, you trade down, get a winning ending. And this is still winning. Clearly winning for black. But when I see white's king here, I don't really want to trade queens. White's king is like so dead in the water. So either queen b5 or rook c8 make a lot of sense to me. Because when your opponent's king is just dead open, you want to keep the queens on. So I love black's next move. He played queen b5 check. King c1. Note that you probably have to go queen b3. I don't think you can keep... I don't think you can go king c1. Rook c8. King d2. And here, black missed a mate. Although it's not the most obvious mate in the world. Rook h8 is probably fine. You do give up this pawn, but it's not the end of the world. Now, anyone got a mate here? There's a forced mate, but the idea is kind of cute. Bishop is pinned. Queen b2 I take. You're not going to mate. I'll give you a hint. Checks, captures, threats. Always. Always checks, captures, threats. There's an idea. Rook c2. Queen e2. And white's king is in some hot water here. White's king is in big time hot water. And the point is, king b1, this is going to mate incredibly quickly. You have queen c1, at which point I play queen d3 and crush you. So that's a disaster. If you go king b3, I take this again. And yeah, good luck. Good luck. Keep walking. Good luck. Good luck there, buddy. You're gonna need it. I don't know, take this probably. This is gonna mate, I assume. Yeah, you're getting mated. So you always want to look at all your checks, right? This rook c2 check just ends the game. The white king is walking. Black played the much more pedestrian queen takes d5. And now after king e1, queen c5. Black offers the queens off. Again, I'm not sure I want the queens off, although if I leave the queens on, this pawn will fall. But still, you can keep the queens on. But now the white king is safer. So I might actually agree with this decision to trade the queens, because the white king has found his way into a safer haven. Queen b3 check. King f6. I don't think that was necessary. White, right? The black king is pretty safe on f7. Just play queen c4. Although there's this one, but then just rook c7. Okay, I can understand king f6. Not wanting to give this up too easily. Queen b2, queen c3 counter check. Takes. And now the white rook comes in. And Ali Quantas has pointed out something interesting. When black took on d5, he opened up the white rook here. So white is actually getting quite a bit of activity. But it shouldn't matter, right? I still am up. I'm up a piece and a pawn. So this is still horrendously winning for black. Even after giving up this pawn, I'm still up a full piece. And now white takes here. And what would you do as black? It is winning. It's like -7 or something. Or sorry, this is not -7. This is maiden 6. It goes to -7 later. So yeah, rook c8 is good. Even more accurate is just check. Always check, it might be mate, right? Checks captures threats. I invite you to stop checkmate. Please stop me from checkmating you. Tell me how. If anyone has any ideas on how to stop me from checkmating you, let me know. So, here's the thing. I think a lot of newer players get caught up in sort of the last move and the effects of the last move. So when white plays rook takes g6, it's sort of like, oh no, my bishop's under attack. That's not good. So that's the only thing we think about, the only part of the board we think about. But we have to be a little bit more whole-minded and go back to our checks, captures, and threats. The first thing I look at isn't here. The first thing I look at is my check. I have a check. I need to look at it. And as soon as I look at that, I see like, oh, I have a mating net because these squares are covered. And as soon as that rook lands on the second, that's going to be mate. So it's this idea of not just caring about the last move, but looking at the whole board, all the checks, captures, and threats. Here, Black didn't find this idea, this mate, and instead went bishop f6, which is sensible enough, preserving the bishop. But when you're winning, you want to win, right? And now White found the nice move, rook takes b7, because the same mating pattern no longer works. And the problem for Black is that this check, the king has a lot of trouble escaping checks. For instance, check. And yeah, it's hard to escape. Same thing on rook fc8. If you go rook fc8, it's hard for Black to escape the checks. Black is going to have to trade this rook. Just to show. If you go here, I take this and then do this. No, then I just check forever, and that's a draw. Okay. If you go up, I keep checking. You cannot go to f8 because I take this with check, and you cannot go to e8 or d8 because of mate. Very annoying. So yeah, this rook on b7 is much more annoying, giving these side checks, and it prevents these mating ideas, unfortunately. So Immortality found the correct move, which is rook c5, denying the side check. And now White played rook b6. And here, Black played a blunder, I would say. Now Black can play rook fc8 with the mate threats. And the point is, now you're in trouble because you don't have this side check with rook b5 check. In fact, I think White is going to be forced to go incredibly passive with a rook b1, but Black will find a way to win this ending. Although he has lost some of his advantage. He's lost 2 pawns, right? But it should still be winning for Black. However, Black again missed this mating idea and played the move rook f7, which doesn't really seem to accomplish much to me. I don't know exactly what this rook f7 move, what the idea behind this rook f7 move. It seems almost like a waiting move, telling White to find something to do. But White did find something to do. What did White play in this position? If you're unsure, think about where White has pressure. f4, what's the idea behind f4? So yeah, the idea, f4 was played, and it's a very good move. The idea behind f4 is you can't move the king, because if you move the king, the bishop hangs. So you're trying to remove the defender of the bishop. So after f4, en passant is forced, and now g takes f3 played, and again white is threatening f4. It is check. That's true. You look at check. That's absolutely correct. And white is threatening f4 check again, displacing the king from the defense of the bishop. So the best move here is to move the bishop somewhere, g7 or h8. But it starts to get pretty scary. You're allowing the rooks in, and this almost looks close to mate. It's not quite, because you slip out the bolt hole, but that looks very close to being a mate for white. It's scary to play. And Immortality has said that he was low on time here, so I can imagine not wanting to allow this. This looks very, very scary. And so Immortality tried the move f4, but f4 is a blunder. You do have to go into this variation where you save the bishop. The idea behind f4 is that when getting checked, he's given himself the f5 square for the king, so that he can maintain contact with the bishop. But unfortunately for him, this fails miserably. So ef4 played. ef4 is actually a mistake. The reason being, so if you realize that the king f5 variation fails, let me show you this variation first. So ef4 check, and in the game, black played king f5. And can anyone see how white ended the game? The game ends in 3 moves. Rook b takes f6 check. Looking at your checks, very good. I will take it. Uh, 2004K, there I have king takes f4. This wins. What's the win? Where's the win here? Oh, am I lagging? No, 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 no. Okay. Rook g5, yeah. It's not mate, but this is a winning position. S2004K is pointing out that you can play this and go g4 check. But here I can go king g6, actually, and maintain my material. And here black wins. So white correctly found rook b takes f6, rook takes f6 is forced, and rook g5 check. King e6 takes, and here black resigned because these pawns will score a touchdown. Now let's go back to this moment because we see that king f5 fails. So the correct move for white is g takes f4. Because g takes f4 forces black to go king d5. You have to. But white went e takes f4. And this is an interesting position because black can pray to hold on to this position. He probably won't, but he can launch a Hail Mary here by going king d4, just ditching the material right away. And the point is takes, and king e3. And black will actually gain this pawn here and have an incredibly active king. So black does have some drawing chances here. I don't claim they're very good drawing chances, but they do exist. And black could play this. However, I understand that it's very hard to just totally ditch your material, especially if you haven't calculated the combination that white's going to have after king f5. But let's go back, because I want to see sort of how we slowly lost control of this position. Let's go back to critical moments. Don't take this bishop if you don't have to. No reason to take it right there. Bishop h4 is not a threat. Expand in the center if you can. Here, black has an opportunity to just totally take over the center. After knight takes e4, d5 is strong. After bishop takes e4, c6 is strong. Take that center. Play in the center. Bishop c4. Oh yeah, always look at your checks, captures, and threats. Here, white can take this, and black is in trouble. Bad news bears. When you're going to change the structure, make sure that all your pieces are happy about it. Here, these pieces were very unhappy about that change in structure. You always got to think about that change in structure. Bishop a4 is okay. Don't trade your opponent's bad bishop for your good bishop. Don't do tactics when your position is falling apart. So yeah, what happened here? I guess really the moment when we lost this is when we missed a mate, right? And that's always hard. When here the white king is getting away. If the white king manages to sneak his way, here he'll be safe. So you do want to stop the king from getting away, especially when it feels like you should be mating him. So this often is the case. A blunder is only a blunder if it gets punished. And I know that sounds really stupid and really obvious. But my point is, if you don't punish your opponent's blunders, they can often end up being really good moves. So here, king d2 allows checkmate. But it's a really good move if you don't checkmate him, because the king is going to slip away. So you have to really be opportunistic, because often your opponent's blunders, if you don't punish them, are really good moves. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, the moves themselves are bad, but they're good if you don't punish them. So when your opponent feels like they're like getting away with something, you really got to look for that punish. And it always starts with checks, captures, threats. Here, boom. Slam the check. Boom. Second check. And I can see here I'm already winning the rook. And I would immediately enter this variation because I don't want the king to run away safely. If rook c2, I just check. And as soon as I realize I'm getting my rook back, I'm like, okay, great. This is mate. This is just mating. So punish your opponents. Don't let them get away with this stuff. They can't keep getting away with it. Because here the king at least is safe. Queen c5 is fine. check, check. And here, again, you got to find the mate. White's getting counterplay, but the only reason he's getting counterplay is because you're not punishing the blunders. Because again, it's a blunder. It's mate. It's just mate. You gotta punish the blunders, and it starts by looking with checks, captures, threats. You gotta. That's all I'm gonna. That's the last time I'll say, but gotta punish the blunders, checks, captures, threats, because now White really does have a lot of counterplay, and you should probably look to trade the rooks off, honestly. Because White's rooks are so much more active than your rooks. Just go here, trade the rooks, and play the bishop ending, which is still winning, but it's harder. You've made life hard for yourself. Anyway, that is all for today. The two games were Dose 7781 versus Immortality, and Piotr versus Dean Madden. On tap for next weekend, we have Annunzio versus Bovist, or Bovist. I don't know. I'm sorry, man. I love you. That's our board 4 game. And Prune 2000, no moderator bias in selecting that one, versus Lichess4545. So those will be their games for the next weekend. I hope you enjoyed the show. I am going to head off now because I got to make myself some dinner. But thank you all so much, and I hope to see you all next weekend, and I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to be titling this on YouTube and then putting it up. See y'all.